So I want to take you through now just a basic analysis. I've just refreshed the golftracks.com myinfo.php page, and as you can see, it's changed now again from a v4 IP to a v6. Same page. Now, this in fairness, because that could be Cloudflare, right? Let's look at the Google map version of the page. And interestingly, that is now also not the v4 IP that's supposed to be being assigned by my internet service provider. So then, if we ask, what is my IPv4, by refreshing that, so what's happening is, you notice that first showed no, it's not detected, and then the v4 is shown, but over here where it's supposed to be being passed through to Cloudflare, see, because we're in the Google Maps folder, it's passing through as a v6. So what does that mean? So essentially it means if either a v4 or v6 can't be always counted on from the internet service provider, then the credentials for editors have to essentially contain a profile for the different possibilities. So we have profiles for editors, and here you can see here's me with a v6 IP and then a couple of a v4 IP and a couple of v6 IPs, and then those of course have to change depending on the session that we're in. But here's the thing: if it is changing, and when it changes, of course, if it changes because Cloudflare did it, well, that's all well and good, because that's what they do to deliver content faster. But when it changes because the ISP changed it, how could we possibly tell the difference? Let me say that again. Because they're both v6 IPs, how could we possibly tell the difference when the internet service provider chose to push the button and stop supplying a v4 IP for my request, and then supply a v6 for just arbitrarily for a while? Because each time it does that, you can think about it. Imagine you're over at Evil Kingdom headquarters, and you say, hey, we've got some more queries. We want to screw with that site some more. Hey, we're a pretty good customer for this internet service provider. We're their biggest customer on the planet. So yeah, just give them a call and say, hey, we need you to just turn off that IP. And of course they'll do it. Of course they will do it. So as soon as they do, then from when I make a request, it's going as a v6. And while it's going as a v6, if they're also requesting rogue sessions, and I have authenticated with my code, then we can't tell when it changes whether it was a Cloudflare change or a rogue session change or a Comcast ISP change. And this is very, very, very important, and it places both companies as defendants. So you may have noticed as that past few minutes played, and I refreshed IPs from the What Is My IP site, and also displayed the IPs submitted to the GolfTrack site, both where it's supposed to be a pass-through directly from the user to our server, and then where Cloudflare is passing their IP instead. And one of the things that you should rewatch if you didn't see, but the internet, the V6 IP address supplied by Comcast changed more than once. We saw it change from a V4 to V6, but watch again, because it also changed again what was being supplied to what is my IP. So that leads me to my next point, and this is really a very interesting one to think about. I want to start out with an analogy to a board game. We've all played Monopoly. And in Monopoly, if you land on community chest or chance, you pull a card. And sometimes the card will have specific instructions about what you do for your move. So, for example, the one that lots of us remember, you pull your your chance card, and it says, go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go directly to jail. So you don't get to roll the dice. You don't get to move your piece anywhere but jail. And then you've got to roll your doubles to get out. So essentially, by selecting that lucky chance card, your move was forced. And then a similar analogy for another board game, chess. Not everybody's played chess, but you've maybe at least seen a game. And sometimes when your opponent places you in check, so there you've got your king on a square, and the other piece or pieces that's putting the king in check, the king's got to move out of, or he can be captured by the opposing pieces. There's only one square left where the king can move. So when that happens, the move, and if there's no move left, then the king's in checkmate, of course. But if there's only one square the king can move, then the king's move to that one square that was available was a forced move. Okay, well, how does that relate here? Well, so here's what you need to think about. So to the extent that the evil kingdom is being assisted by the internet service provider to change the IP from the expected V4 to a V6 in the first place, which you've seen video evidence is happening, and then changes it again whenever it pleases, then there was another force play at work here. And it's like this. For Golf Tracks to have been able to do any editing of its site content while the evil empire, evil kingdom, and its paid associates did their evil deeds, then we had to trust those V6 IPs, even though we could not differentiate whether they were coming from Cloudflare, as every single one of them should have, in which case they were trustable, or whether they were Google Chrome initiated, or whether they were IPs that were changed by the internet service provider. So to the extent that, because they all just looked like V6 IPs when they made the change, we had an active session with the code that had been sent, so it was trusted when it changed. And this proves unequivocally that the evil empire force played us and any other site that they did this to enable editors to do anything. We had to trust, which gave them the doors to our site, the keys to our site, to do whatever the F they wanted. And I pray federal investigators will consider the ramifications of this and what the appropriate remedies should be.